My okay, so this is part 4. Part 4. This is part 4. Pop that down. Oh, wait a minute. I think I actually need that window. Hold on. So part 4, picking up with our interview questions. Hold on, I lost the one window that I needed. Okay, so picking up part 4, let me go back to sharing the screen. Part 4, we are still in phase 1, which is empathy, the empathy phase of the design thinking framework. We are working out the way we establish interview questions we've already gone through thoroughly how you would establish interview questions if we were assessing a application or a device, a website that already exists. So now we've transitioned over into how we would go about interviewing end users or potential end users for a device or an application, a website that does not exist yet. And we're trying to gather the information to make sure that we create the best experience for them. So let me see. Okay, so picking up where we left off, we were talking about the health assessment, right? So do you currently use any other online platforms or apps to view your health assessments? And if yes, what features do you find easy and intuitive? What features do you like? You know, what would you like to add? And if no, what would you like to see added? What would you like to see added to viewing your health assessment? Or what, actually, I feel like we should update this. If no, what features would you like to have? What features would you like to have as available to you? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so moving on, what's the next thing? So they can do health assessments. We kind of did the in-body stats. That's more so of them tracking their progress. So let's go ahead and build out the questions for tracking out, for tracking their progress. So if you go here, the framework, identify all the features. So we've identified that we're mapping out the questions for tracking your progress. Ask questions to expose pain points, pleasure points, and or room for improvement. So what questions are we going to ask? What's the first question? And assessing a user's experience and tracking their progress, their fitness progress. What's the first question and asking users? I'm sorry, what's the first question? Engage in a user's experience and tracking their fitness progress in an existing app outside of our own because ours doesn't exist yet. So what's the question?
How is your experience in tracking your progress?
Or do you currently use
Yeah, it's
any other
do you currently use
Wait, I thought we were doing one that was outside of our own.
all of these questions have been based on outside of our own because your client doesn't have a your client doesn't have an application built yet. So all of the questions have been.
I thought you meant we were using a different.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry for phrasing it that way. Yeah, we're just picking up where we left off and building out the rest of the questions using the
Okay.
same format.
Okay.
Okay, so do you currently use any other, what's the question?
Do you currently use any other online platforms or apps to track your stats?
No, this one, we finished the stats. We're doing online progress.
You mean InBody?
So my question was, I thought embodied stats and measurements were all under the category of progress. Are they?
Um,
Or
I guess
stats is
so.
not? Okay. I mean, if it's not, then we can build it out.
And if it is, should it all three of those be under one? And as labeled progress and then branch down into each individual?
We can do it individual. Okay, do you use any other online platform or apps to track your what's Embody though? I don't even know what that is.
Your in-body assessment, it's it measures your BMI, your skeletal mass, your muscle mass, your water weight.
I'm gonna say etc. Do you currently use any other online platform apps to track your Embody? Is this like progress or what we call it transformation?
Mm.
Embody progress? Okay.
Well, it's called an in-body assessment.
Oh, to track your Embody. Okay. Assessment, and then we'll put in parentheses BMI, skeletal mass, etc. Because they're not gonna, I didn't even know what that meant. So BMI, skeletal mass, etc. Right?
Okay. Mhm.
And then so what's our follow-up question?
If yes, what features do you find easy and intuitive? What features do you like?
Yeah. And what's the other question?
And what process do you find difficult or frustrating in reviewing your in-body assessment?
Yeah. Yep. And then what's our next question?
What do you find difficult? What features do you find difficult in tracking your in-body progress and assessment?
We just did that one. And then what's the one after that? We're here.
If any, why? Oh, if any, why? Or is that the same one? Or what
That's
features
the
would
same
you like
question.
to
What would
see
what would you
added
like to
to your
see?
in-body progress and assessment?
Would you like to
Well,
see? We should say
Added.
would you like
but
to see included?
but
Okay.
I
Uh-huh.
don't think well, I don't know, maybe so, but I don't think you can do because the in-body is its own separate like program.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we can't add anything. To add anything to the in-body assessment would be having to reach out to the in-body developers.
This hasn't been developed yet. Oh, you're saying like it's a statewide standard thing? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
it's like
saying?
yeah, it's like
Okay. It's like an established, so you're saying it's a third party app is what you're saying?
yes,
Oh, okay. So it's a third party app that they have access to. That
yes.
okay. Yeah, that makes a difference. So we really shouldn't have this question then. All right. So then if we're not going ahead with that question, so it's back to what stats?
I thought we did that one already. No,
We did health assessment. All right, so
okay,
let's do stats. Do you currently track your stats in any other online fitness platform? Right?
right. Any other fitness platforms or apps?
Your fitness stats on any other online platform. All right, what's the follow-up?
If so,
Yeah.
what
Uh-huh.
features do you find
Yep.
easy
Mm-hmm.
and intuitive?
Yep.
What features do you like?
Yep. Yep. All of that. So you guys got it. So that's what you'll do for each feature. So what other features do we need to do this for?
I guess the contact us, because I will say I've had experienced some pain points when I click the contact us tab.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it really bothers me that one, I can't get in contact with anyone, or two, it's just an email, or you
So
know what I
what
mean?
questions would you ask for that for the end user?
Um, do you currently use wait, mm,
Mm-hmm. Online contact forms.
online contact forms for any other do you currently use online contact forms
What's the overall objective of this application?
to book a service?
Right. What kind of
No.
service?
To contact us?
No, what kind of service is this site for? What type of site is this?
Health and wellness.
Yeah. So do you currently use online contact forms to do what? What would you use a contact form for? You don't
And
use a contact form to book services.
do you currently use any online contact forms to reach out to inquire about health and
Yeah.
wellness?
Yeah. Yeah. To inquire about health and wellness,
When it comes to your personal health?
yeah, health and wellness services.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Would it would it be better to say, have you ever used the online contact form versus do you currently use one? Because that's not something
Yeah.
like a service we would, somebody would be seeking.
Yeah. Have you ever?
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't know how to shoot a seat, so good luck.
Have you ever used online contact forms to inquire about health and wellness services?
It took a minute, but
Yeah.
Okay. And what was okay, so what's the follow-up?
If yes, what features do you find easy?
Mm-hmm. Right. And then what's next?
Um, what features did you like?
Yep. And then the next.
And what process did you find difficult?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what process did you find difficult or frustrating?
Yep. And then our next question is,
Or would it be difficult or frustrating in reaching out, or difficult and frustrating in using the contact
and
form?
yeah.
Or what parts of the process of using contact forms do you find difficult
Well, they may
or
not find it
frustrating?
difficult. So
If
what
any.
process do you find difficult? Yeah. Or
If
frustrating
any.
in using the contact form to inquire about fitness services, if any. And then what's our final question following our format?
What would you like to add to the contact
Yeah,
form process, or the contact?
yeah.
What would you like to add to the contact process?
What would you like to
What would you like to
see
see added?
added to
The contact form.
a contact form to inquire about
Fitness
yeah,
or health and wellness.
okay, to inquire about health and wellness services. Yep. Okay, so without building out the questions, because then you can finish the rest of the questions since we already have like a really good solid understanding of how they're supposed to be formatted. What's the other one? So we're gonna do contact us. What other things on here need to be interviewed and assessed?
Check out, complete payment,
Yeah. Complete payment. So you're gonna do the process. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Complete payment. And then what else?
I guess. Oh, this is for members, right? We're not doing them non-members yet.
You got to do all of it.
Oh, create a profile.
That's going to be a big one. Because when you do create a profile, you end up.
I don't think we got that far.
Yeah, we didn't do the build. Oh, we didn't build out the
No, we didn't build out create a
So
profile.
you have to build that out in your workflow. That's missing in your workflow. Your workflow has to be all the way completed too.
Okay.
So you have to complete all of the possible user paths in your workflow.
Okay.
And what else? Measurement, assessment. Check out. Yeah, what about the booking and service path? That probably needs to be mapped out. So you're probably gonna have to map out the workflow for booking and service for in-body personal training and health assessment. Because the questions may be different.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Janella, mute yourself.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so you have to you know, all of your user paths have to be mapped out in your wireframe. But that's like from last week's homework though. Yeah, create a profile. So you need the interview questions for in-body. I'm sorry, book a service. And
Book a
then
service. Okay.
what are the possible paths for book a service?
In-body, personal training, health assessment.
In-body, personal training, and health assessment. Right, because, you know, and that's going to be a conversation. Yeah. When we get to the design phase, that's going to be a question. You're going to have to go back to the product owner because that's going to be a business requirement in terms of what information the company has to have in order to provide these services. But that, in terms of your interview, that doesn't have anything to do with that, with the person that you're interviewing. Does that make sense? So like when you're interviewing the person, it's the same question. Have you ever used an online contact form to inquire about personal training services? If yes, what features did you like? Blah, 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 right? What would you like to see added? That's just them just giving you their wish list and their, so when you go back to the business owner and you ask them what information they need, then you can present the information that the client would like to see as well. But this is just the interviewing phase. So Janella, for you, so you'll go through the same process with your landscaping company, right? So you have to go through this process that we went through in class. So you want to follow the same format, you want to follow the same structure. So you're going to start from the top and identify all of the features, tasks, call to actions, and steps that's a part of the user experience. And then for each one of those paths, you want to ask interview questions where you want to create interview questions to gauge the user's experience of going through those processes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's how you form your, are you guys solid on how you form the interview questions?
Yes.
So can you see the difference between the questions that you ask? Oh, we almost. So after you finish working through this, then you have that other category, which we call, what did I call it? And this is not an official UX thing. I'm just calling it this so that you guys remember to ask both. So the user vision and wish list. These questions are definitely a UX thing, but I'm just talking about the fact that I made up the term user vision and wish list. That's just my way of helping you remember what questions to ask. Wait, what were you saying?
Sorry. I'm sorry, that's my cousin.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So
Going back
user
on mute.
vision and wish list. What's the user vision and wish list questions? It's kind of like, because we've already asked what they would like to see, what can be like just some blanket overall questions you ask in this phase to cover anything we may not have covered? Angela or Janella, or Angela, since Janella's background is loud. It's the same questions we asked before. So what were those questions?
What features? Wait, is it the user wish list? Is this like for the overall site, or is it just for it's for the overall site?
Yeah.
Um,
For the overall objective, and our objective is for them to
book a
sign
service.
up, book a service, and also review the services that they already have from within the member area.
What would you like to see?
What other features not covered
Or what other features would you like to add?
would you like to see added to our online
Website.
fitness platform?
Oh, fitness platform.
Because it can be a website, it can be an app, so you don't want to box yourself in.
Okay.
Yep, and that's it. And then just what's the final question to end the interview?
Would you recommend?
Well, they can't recommend it. We don't have anything yet. We haven't built anything, so there's nothing to recommend. This is you're gathering questions so that we can design what we're going to build, because your client doesn't have an app or website. So generally you just end with, are there any other questions or concerns? Are there any other I don't know, like insights or concerns? Are there any other insights or thoughts you would like to share? Insights or suggestions, right? Because this is all about suggestions. Yep, and that's it. So in contrast, so you tell me what's the difference between, you tell me the difference between the point of view when an app already exists versus a point of view when an app or a feature does not exist in interviewing questions.
When one does exist, it's easier to, it's easier to make the questions.
Okay, so what type of questions do we ask when an application or a feature already exists versus what's the point of view? So what's the point of view when an app or service exists versus the point of view when an app or feature does not exist? So when the app or service exists, what's the point of view for the questions? The point of view is what? From the vantage point of what? So when we're designing for an app or feature that already exists, our questions are being asked from the point of view
of their experience, right?
Yeah, of their experience of what?
Using
other websites.
No, not others. This is one where
this website.
The existing website or the existing.
Oh, this is from our, okay. This is from, I missed that part. So it was from one that's already developed.
Right. So, and then what's the point of view when we're asking questions for a website or feature that doesn't exist? The point of view is what?
It's not from using other websites.
Yeah, it's from other experiences or relatable experiences. So if you're asking user experience questions from the point of view of from a website or an application, a product that doesn't exist, you're asking from the point of view of their experience utilizing the existing website or application. if you're designing for a feature or web application that does not exist, you're asking from a point of view of other experiences that they've had or desired experiences if they had none. So your question should be from either one of those point of views.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So what's the point of view if the app exists?
Then it's from using the actual application.
Mm-hmm. And then what's the point of view if the app or feature does not exist?
It's from using other applications.
And what if they haven't used other applications?
Then it's
the point of view is their what?
Their preferences or what they would like to see.
Right. Their preferences, their desired experience. Yep. Okay. So that is the process of phase 1.
Faye, how many phases is it?
Don't worry about it. I just
oh my goodness.
I'm just kidding. No, there's 5 phases. But this is your I mean
more of these.
No, there's 5. No, this is the empathize. What's the 5 phases? Do you remember? We're so deep in, you were probably so deep in the forest, you can't see the forest for the seeing the trees. The tree called empathize, right? So like float above the tree called empathize and look at the whole forest. And what's the
it's 4 phases?
5. I'm sorry, what's the 5?
Empathize, define, ideate.
Mm-hmm. Ideate,
prototype, and test.
Yeah. So the empathize phase is, and you haven't even finished the empathize phase because you have to actually go out and interview the people, right? So you have to go through the process of creating your interview questions. Then after you go through the process of creating your interview questions, then you have to make sure that you choose the group of people you're going to interview. And what are the considerations when you're choosing a group of people that you are going to interview? Remember, what's the considerations when we talk about empathetic design? What's the considerations?
Being inclusive.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And what are we considering when we're making sure that we're focusing on equitable design? So what are some considerations to make sure that we're being equitable? We're considering that we're interview people of all blank and what? Fill in the gap, fill in the blanks. We want to make sure we interview people that represent, yes, all ages. And what else?
All genders.
What else?
Their interests and buying behaviors.
No.
All socioeconomic.
Socioeconomic.
That was the second part.
What was it? What did you say?
Oh, I said geographics, but that's probably wrong.
Nope. So for empathy, age, yes.
Social, economic.
Yes, and what's the other one?
And what else?
Gender.
Right, and what else?
Okay, what is the last one? Age, gender, social, economic.
Newcomers. Don't forget the newcomers.
Oh. Okay, newcomers
and who else do we want to make sure that we consider?
People who have outdated technology.
That's socioeconomic.
Oh.
Oh my God, like this is what group of people do we want to make sure that we don't overlook when we talk about accessibility?
It escapes me. I can't remember.
No. Accessibility is no way. I'm telling you the answer. Like what group of people are we direct targeting or making sure that we consider if we're considering that the app is accessible? Oh my God, y'all. I'm not accepting that you don't know this. Anytime you hear the word accessibility, who are we talking about?
People with disabilities.
Yes.
Oh.
Jeez.
Oh,
Okay, so yeah, so phase one, right, of design thinking framework. So once you go through that process and you gather all of your data and you interview all your people, you use that data so that you can define, right? You can't define anything if you don't have data, which is why it's important that your questions are thorough. So the next phase is define. Based on the research gathered from the empathize phase, which problems are the most important and why? Right? So hypothetically, let's just say you work for FedEx again, right? And we go out and we ask all these questions about the shipping process. And let's just say we get a list of all the problems and we're in our think tank, we're in our war room, and we're going through all of the questions. I mean, we're going through all the answers. Now, let's say hypothetically, we get a lot of feedback saying that 20% of the people were not able to ship their package, right? And let's just say we get feedback that says 5 people who use screen readers were not able to select their state, right? So they couldn't complete the process. And then we have, so let's go through this. Let's work through the what that actually looks like. So to recap, the define, based on research gathered from the empathize phase, which problems are the most important and why. The most important outcome of this phase is a clear problem statement. A value proposition would also be a great takeaway from this phase. Why the user would use your solution and how it would benefit them, right? So let's do another hypothetical. Let's just pretend I'm only going to do 3 to make it not exhausting. But in real life, you would have a lot of problems to sift through, right? But just for working through the scenario, a hypothetical. Let's say that we did all this work, right? Now let's go back to our FedEx example, and we found one problem we found was that 20% of, no, we're not even going to say that. We're going to say that 20 users could not complete the shipping process. And then we're going to say one user who uses a screen reader, could not access the state selection field. Therefore, they could not complete shipping. And then let's say a user found the colors jarring. I don't know if that's how you spell it, but it is. Okay. And another problem would be that let me see. Another problem would be, let me see, what's the hypothetical problem? That would be a good one. Oh, users could not figure out how to pay, right? So looking at all of these problems that we come up with, but in reality, it will be like 20 different problems. What you would do is you would sift through all of these answers and you would come up with this scenario. Now, based on these hypotheticals, which do you think weigh the most? Which problems weigh the most to you? Which ones do you think are the highest priority?
the users could not complete the shipping process would be one.
Which one? To sue users couldn't? Yep. Okay. But for what reason? Which one? Oh, I didn't give a reason, did I? 20 users cannot complete the shipping process because the submit button was hidden. Okay. All right. So that one, and what else?
Users not being able to pay is gotta be a huge issue.
Mm-hmm. So what would be our problem statement? So based on these, how would we formulate one single problem statement? Because when you go through the design phase, the important outcome in this phase is to come up with a clear problem statement. So what's the problem statement? State the problem.
Based on user research,
don't overthink it. It's very obvious.
Based on
users are having issues shipping and paying.
Yeah.
For the problem.
Yeah. Users cannot successfully complete
the shipping and payment
and pay for the shipping service. All right, so we've established the problem statement, right? So, and then a value proposition would be, this is a bonus, but a value proposition will be why the user should use our solution and how it will benefit them. But we really haven't, but what do we want? What do we want it to be? Like, what do we want our value proposition to be? We want to create a scenario where use our shipping service because X. What's the framework for that? Use our, what do we want? And like, what's the goal? What's the target? We want our value
shipping service because our users are able to effectively manage the site and ship.
Use our shipping service because it's easy.
Yeah.
Simple.
Use ours. Users should use our online shipping service because it is easy. And what was the other thing you guys said? What else was it? Because it's easy, and what else?
Well, I had said our users are successful. And you said it's easy.
I said easy. I said simple.
Simple. And what else?
Pleasant.
That's all this. Simple. Pleasant. And what else? Huh? What else?
It's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Efficient.
Our users should use our online shipping service because it is easy, simple. What else?
Inclusive.
And effective. Our users get their packages.
No, this is just about this isn't the business model for UPS. This is just the online. There's one feature.
Inclusive.
Yeah.
Okay. Our shipping services because we have a very high success rate.
For what? No, we're not talking about the actual delivery of the packages. That's something else. That's for the truck drivers and stuff.
I'm talking about us.
Okay, so what are you saying?
We have a high success rate. Our services.
No, so the point of view is, what is my experience? So easy is my experience. Simple is my experience. What's my experience as a user? That's the point of view. I feel like you included me. So based on what makes a good design, back to this. So look, let's look at this again. Let's look at the issues, right? So your value add should address the issues. So we had a person with a screen reader who cannot access the select field, right? So your proposition statement should be, if you're addressing that, what's your sale? What's your sale? You're talking to somebody who uses a screen reader. What's your sale to them? What's a feature that's going to be a sale to them? Users should use our online shipping service because it is easy, right? If you're talking to a person who has a disability, what's your sale to them? You should use our site to ship your services because it is what? What's going to speak to them?
It's clear.
No, that doesn't speak to me if I'm using a screen reader.
Wait, what's a screen reader exactly?
For people who are visually impaired.
I mean, clear as in they can understand what it's reading to them.
Right. So what is that word? What's the word in your field that should be in your vocabulary when you're describing that? It's accessible. Users should use our online shipping service because it is easy, accessible, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's not covered under easy. Yeah.
No, because just because it's easy doesn't mean it's accessible. Like easy for who? Easy for me is not easy for someone who has accessibility issues.
Okay.
So your value proposition should speak to the problem. So like if the problem is one user who uses a screen reader cannot access it, then I need to specifically address accessibility. Right. If we decided to narrow down our problem statement to 20 users could not complete the shipping process because the submit button was hidden, that speaks to easy. And if they couldn't figure out how to pay, so a user should use our online shipping service because it is easy, accessible, and payout is simple or intuitive. You see what I mean? So make sure that your value statement addresses the problem, your proposition. So once you get past that phase of it, so going back to our diagram, so we gather all of the information, the data, and then we combed through all of the data and we came up with a clear single. The key word is single. Your problem statement needs to be one single statement. So if you look at our statement, our problem statement says users cannot successfully, honestly, this should say users cannot successfully, I don't like this. I feel like it should say users cannot successfully complete online search. I think it should say the shipping service is not accessible or easy and intuitive for end users looking to ship packages. That's the problem statement.
Okay. It's not accessible. It what?
It's not accessible, easy, and intuitive for end users to ship packages.
Okay.
And then your proposition statement is users should use our online shipping service because it is easy, accessible, and the payout is intuitive. So I really want to highlight problem statement because that's a UX term. That's not a me thing. That's a UX term. That's definitely going to be on your certification exam. So you have to know how to write clear problem statements. And you have to know how to write clear propositions. How come I can't spell intuitive? Oh, I missed the other I. Intuitive. Okay. Yeah. And a lot of times the problem statements are written in first person. So you'll see a problem statement written like, well, I'm moving ahead, but okay, let's move forward. Okay, so
wait, can you go back? Sorry, I was trying to write it down.
This is on the shared document. You have this.
No, but I have to write it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Problem statement and proposition statement. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So what's phase 1? Empathize. Phase 2?
Define.
Phase 3?
Ideate.
Right. So moving on to phase 3 with ideate. You want to generate as many design solutions as possible. This involves collaborative brainstorming with your team. This can include the marketing, development team, and the stakeholders. So depending on the structure of your company, it may just be you. It may just be you and your design team members. It may be you and the front end developers. It may be everyone in the same room coming up with possible solutions. It just kind of depends on your company framework. But the point is, it's always going to be a group effort. It's never going to just be you, hopefully, unless the company is really, really small, but it should be a group effort. So generate as many solutions. When we go through the solutions, that is kind of what we've already been doing with the wireframing. So when we came here, this is what that process looks like. When we were looking at your wireframe, right? And we were looking at, like just, well, because if you remember last week, we were kind of talking through it and we were saying, well, what if they're not a member? Right? Remember that conversation?
Right.
What if I don't want to just be forced into signing up for a service and you haven't told me anything about the services you offer? Like all of those things are working through possible solutions. But in the design thinking, what's the name of the framework? Design thinking framework. What's the name of the framework? I just said it.
Design thinking framework.
Yeah, design thinking. Janella, what's the name of the framework that we're learning?
Design thinking framework.
Yeah, because I'm
Can you hear
asking
me?
yes.
Okay.
So going through that process though, and you go in this order for a reason, because when we get to ideation, ideation is built on these building blocks. What was the problem? I'm sorry, what did the users tell us? What did we gather was our problem statement based on the data we got from the user? Now let's come up with a whole bunch of possible solutions. So usually what happens is everyone goes away. So like on the team that I work in, I come up with a solution. My coworkers come up with solutions. Because there are six of us, we come back with 6 different solutions to the table. And then we look at each other's solution. But sometimes if you have a brainstorming session, you work through it together, kind of like how I do it in a classroom structure, just to give you guys like hands-on experience of what it looks like and feels like in real time. So, ideation, if we were to create a problem statement from, say, Janella, when we looked at your landscaping business, and if we came up with a hypothetical and said the problem was users were not able to book a service and pay online, right? Let's just say that's the problem statement. And we would come up with possible solutions. Our solutions would be like, well, maybe the payment, what's some possible solutions we could come up with?
Let's see. Can we go back to the other screen?
Can we go back to where?
Never mind.
To the website? Or go back to what? Which one? To yours or what?
No, it's okay. Never mind.
No, say it.
I was gonna say, can we go back to the other screen where we had all our questions and stuff on it?
Yeah, yep. So which part?
Wait, so we saying that the problem was they couldn't make a payment, right?
Right. So I was just saying, we can stay with the same example so I don't jump around. So let's just say back to this example, the problem statement was that the shipping service is not accessible, easy and intuitive for users looking to ship packages, right? So if that's our problem statement, and then, so let's actually do this in real life. So you, Janella, and I are a team. We're the design team. Let's come up with some possible, let's take like between now and break, let's come up with some possible solutions. Let's ideate.
Easy and intuitive.
So what's some things we can do? What's some possible ideas we can throw out there to make it easier?
Okay. So we can change the colors.
We'll focus on we addressed the shipping service is not accessible, easy, and intuitive. So that's what we're addressing. We decided not to address the colors.
Oh, so we can fix the submit button.
Yeah. And what's some possible solutions for the submit button?
We need to go
Sure.
back to the developer.
Yeah, we can talk to the developer. And then let's just say, so they said because the submit button was hidden. So let's go to, if we pretend as if they can't find it, what could we do? We could propose to reposition the location of the reposition or location of the submit button.
Right.
Reposition.
Reposition it or do the what is it called? Lighthouse? Or would that not show it? The lighthouse wouldn't show.
Well, this is just like so let's just pretend like it's on the screen, but it's just not easily visible. So we can explore like, yeah, we can change the font to make it more prominent. What else could we possibly do?
Resize, reformat the entire
yeah. Resize what?
The button.
Yeah. What else could we possibly do?
Change the view.
What do you mean?
Like like when we were in our first class and we were looking at the web pages and it was like way too big.
Oh, okay. So like look into the scale.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, the scale.
Okay.
You already said change the color, right? But why is that?
Where is it? Change the color of the button? I don't think I typed that. Change the color of the button. Yeah. This is what ideation is. So we're focused. So the user, the shipping service is not accessible. So you talked about talking to the developer about that. Easy. What about it is not easy? We can just make it up and intuitive for the user to ship packages. Oh, I'm sorry, and pay. All right, so we addressed that issue. What about the fact that it's not easy? We got feedback, and let's just say hypothetically that the people we interviewed said that they couldn't figure out how to step through the process. Like they didn't know what came first, second, third. Let's just pretend like they said that. What would be some solutions? Just making up a hypothetical. If that were our scenario, let's ideate.
Maybe have some pop-up icons, pop-up buttons.
Yeah, we can explore pop-up buttons to do what? What are the pop-ups doing?
To go in order of what's first, what's second, third.
Pop-up actions that occur in order. What's some other things we could do?
Large buttons that are there on the site, like focal points.
Large buttons that say what in terms of helping us navigate from step 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Like pay or.
So what are those called?
Action, call to actions.
Yeah, so are you saying large call to action buttons?
Yeah.
If they were saying that it wasn't easy to navigate, maybe it'll be a good idea to number them. Like the call to action buttons are numbered, like first step, step 1, step 2. So maybe call out steps. What's something else? A possible way that we can make the site easier to navigate.
Maybe the step 1, 2, 3, 4 stays on the page.
Like yeah, that's a good idea. Yep. So the numbered steps persist throughout the process. Yeah, these are all good ideas. See, what else could we come? This is so what we're doing is ideation. So it's looking at the users' data, coming up with consolidating all that data. Because like I said, I just did 4 for the sake of example, but in real life, you see how many questions we came up with. You're gonna have answers to all of those questions. In real life, you're sifting through all of these questions that they answered. And not only from one person, from the 6, 10, or 20 people you interviewed, right? So in real life, you're sifting through and you're looking for problems that stick out as these are really top priority problems we need to take care of. And then it may be 10 different problems, but you got to narrow it down into one focus, right? So you got all this data from different people. Usually you're going to see a theme. There's going to be a common thread through all of it. So one person may say like, one person may say, I got stuck on the shipment part. I couldn't figure out how to enter my rate. Another person may say, well, I couldn't figure out how to figure out the zip code of the person I was sending it to. And then another person may say, well, I had issues with, I don't know, choosing my package, right? So when you look at all of these problems, the overarching theme is there's a problem with the process of entering the shipping details. You see what I mean? Like if you were to take all of those problems from all the people and consolidate it down to summarize what is the overarching problem? What are all these individual things pointing to? Are all these individual things pointing to the payment process? Are all of these individual things pointing to accessibility? Are all of these individual things pretty much pointing to ease of use with the form? You see what I'm saying? So you can take all of that, what's the common thread that's running through it, and that's how you come up with that individual problem, that single problem statement. And then from the problem statement, you come up with what the goal is. So we're trying to create a solution that makes our app the choice because it is whatever, it has to address the problem statement. And then from there, that's when you start to, like we're doing, and like we're gonna do when we come back from break, work through all of the possible solutions. And ideation can take like a week. It's not like a 1 day, you could be on ideation for a week, for 2 weeks, depending on how big the problem is and how big the solution is going to be. But okay, let's take a break and then we'll come back and go talk through the other phases.
Okay.
Okay. See you at 2:30.
All right.